Good day, viewers. Welcome back to the Preaching Humanist with David Oliverio. That is I. Let's continue on whether or not we have shared virtues and values with believers, those of us that identify as secular humanists. So let's talk about those areas that we disagree in. And there are going to be some, but we try to find common ground with all humans, right? So I talked to a lady, a few weeks ago. I've always got some good preacher stories for everybody, right? And I was trying my best to explain to her that we have shared values and virtues with you because we are all human. So I explained to her that secular humanism is promoting the well-being of all, decreasing suffering and so forth, being good without God. Here's what she said. She said, "That's not enough, David. I know that's good that you attempt to be good and moral without Jesus, without God, but that's not enough. There's more than that." And I knew where she was headed because I used to preach that stuff long time ago. She wanted to get into the whole gospel message and so forth of denying yourself. So there is a lot more. A lot more is simply promoting goodness for all without God belief. All right, so let's go and talk about some of the differences that we have, what I would like to call the unshared virtues and values with believers. And I would like to also call this the Christian add-ons. They're going to add to the list that I discussed in part 1 on where we agree. Okay, number 1 is, and again, this list comes from Friedrich Nietzsche's list in his book, The Genealogy of Morality, back in 1887. Number 1 was chastity. What is chastity? It's refraining from sexual pleasures because of religious vows. I think we've discussed this many times, and many people have talked about this, on how Christianity and religion has distorted human sexuality. There are many people that have been damaged or having damaged goods in many areas of their life, those people that have come out of Christianity and other religions, especially the evangelical side of it. So there are 3 types of sex. And when I talk to believers through the years, I identify, of course, as a strong secular humanist, but I want them to understand that we agree with 2 of the 3 types of sex. Let's talk about that. Number 1 was amative or amorous sex. Relationship sex, right? Christians would agree, it's about love. We have sex and relationships. Sure. I agree. I agree with number 1. There's the amative or relationship type sex. Number 2, procreative sex. If you want children, of course, you've got to have sex. Or, of course, you can have the in vitro out of the womb type thing also. But if you want to do it the old school way, it does involve that. It involves sex, right? We would agree with 2 of the 3. Now, here's where we do not share the same value and virtue. We do not agree with hardcore believers. Number 3, recreational sex. And to a believer, especially a conservative Christian, that is a hardcore sin. It's really in the Bible. I understand the scriptures from the Old and New Testament. So number 1 was chastity. Number 2 list on Nietzsche's list was self-denial. I have to disagree with that. The Bible clearly says you must deny yourself. Put yourself down, your own interests, your own needs, your own desires. Come follow me and be my disciple, Jesus said, right? Allegedly. Throughout the Bible, it was not about the human will, desire, the human life. It was about whatever is God's will. In fact, the scripture talks about Jesus praying in the Garden of Gethsemane, right? Tears of blood, or he sweat drops of blood. And he said to the Father in heaven, his daddy, and he said, not my will, not my desire, but thy will be done. So we disagree there. No, it's not self-denial. It's my life. I'll live it my way. It's my mind. I'll think how I want to think. Next one was concern for the purity of thoughts. Within Christianity and Islam and the other religions, they're so concerned with your thoughts being pure. Now, again, freedom is to think however you want to think, as long as those thoughts do not promote bad actions and hurting other people. It's my mind. I can think what I want. I can have my own fantasies. We should be able to think without someone watching what we think, hearing what we think, judging what we think. So no, We're not concerned with these type of thoughts. We're concerned with actions and consequences. The next one was contrition. What is contrition? Sorrowful for sin. Don't believe in God, therefore there's no sin. What is sin? According to Christianity, it's a willful transgression against God's law. No God, no sin. Crushed by guilt is contrition. Now, I do believe in internal moral compasses we have as a social animal. We have that. We kind of know. I feel guilty at times. I feel bad if I hurt somebody's feelings. If I do something to hurt somebody else, I try not to, but occasionally we make mistakes, and I'll go and apologize to a person if I say something that hurt them. Sure, we have some internal guilt that leads us to keeping relationships intact and the good for all. But contrition, sorrowful for sin, no, disagree. Meekness was the next virtue, the add-on that Christians add on to the list where we agree with them. Meekness, by definition, oh no. Submissiveness, that's what the Bible is about. Obey them that have the rule over thee. It's about authoritarianism, submission, and so forth. Here, in reality, utilitarianism, secular humanism promotes equality for all. We are all the same. We have different interests, different talents, different gifts, but we try to keep unity and equality for all. So none of this overwhelming submissiveness and meekness. And the last one he talked about was that preoccupation with the next life. The hereafter, that comforting feeling that believers talk about, right? Immortality. What happens when you die, David? There's got to be something more. I want that feeling of knowing that I will be provided for, taken care of by something for eternity, getting out of this present world. Well, I disagree with that because I don't believe in the hereafter. I don't believe in immortality. Why do I not believe? Because there's no evidence. And also the contempt for this life. There are many people on the Christian right and Muslims as well, and the other religions that have a contempt for this life. Actually, this life is getting better. And as I age, at my age, I could say my life is getting better. And I do not have belief in immortality. I want to make the world better now. In fact, atheism, agnosticism, secular humanism promotes goodness here on this earth right now. We are concerned with making the world better. Why? Because God ain't going to save us. We must save ourselves to make the world better, and it is slowly improving. Incremental changes for the good. It's happening through science and reason and enlightenment. So these were the lists that Nietzsche talked about of the virtues and values that many of us do not agree with, right? For the most part, I am doing these two messages. And you may be asking, David, why would you talk about common ground with believers? Because they're humans. Most of them mean well. Most of them are just wrong and they've been lied to. And how do I know? Personal experience many, many years ago, I was one of them. I was a good guy. I just thought that that belief system called Christianity would be good for people and would help them and make them happy and produce moral and ethical societies. It actually does not work in the modern age. We have something to replace it, something better. So let's find the common ground. Let's not hate on people. Let's be kind to the person. At the same time, you don't have to respect their beliefs. I make it clear to people when I talk to them. I care about you as a human. We have a lot common, but there are things in that book, the Bible and the Quran, I do not agree with, and I will not compromise with some things in that book. I will compromise with the things that are good. Being a good Samaritan, helping the widows and the orphans in their affliction. That was in the New Testament. These are just simple humanistic ethics and values that all people share, and that's it. All right, well, thank you so much for watching The Preaching Humanist, and remember this, let the light of secular humanism shine. Have a wonderful day.